everyone. I wanted to start a new series on my channel and I wanted to call it You Are Reading the Bible Verse Wrong or Are You Reading the Bible Verse Right? And the main reason I wanted to do this is that there are so many Bible verses around there. We see a lot of them, very famous. We can quote them. They're on social media, they're on shirts, they're on bumper stickers. A lot of them are everywhere. However, do we know the real meaning behind it? Are we using these verses in the correct way or in the way it was meant for us to understand it? So, I wanted to pose a question out there. How many times have you tried to condemn sin? Have you tried to say something to someone with love, of course, and humility, and you were shut down with a phrase or with a verse? Do not judge, and you will be judged. This is one of the verses that we believers might struggle with because it's one of the verses that non believers really hit us with. And this is Satan's way of keeping us shut. This is Satan's way of lowering our voices and shutting us down. Every time we want to talk about something, about a specific matter, we want to tell people to repent, he is there telling us not to judge and we will be judged. And this is the way many non believers and some believers, unfortunately, understood this verse. So I am going to read the verses, not the verse. I'm going to read the first verse, but I'm going to read Matthew 7 1 through 5 because it's very important to read in context. Let's always remember anything taken out of context or isolated from the context is going to be misinterpreted most of the times. So that's why when we read a verse, let's study its context and let's study the history behind it. So I am going to start with Matthew 7 1 through 5. And all right. Do not judge others, and you will not be judged, for you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eyes when you have a log in your own? It's very important. How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite. Key word. Hypocrite. First, get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. So, many of us can quote or non-believers can quote the very first verse, do not judge and you will be judged. However, how many of us can quote or know the rest of the verses? That's when we talk about context. If we isolate that verse, then it means that do not judge. And obviously, let's address something. He is the only judge. Jesus is the only judge of this entire world. However, there's so much more to come after that. Let's study, first of all, three things: who, to who, and why. And this will help us a lot because studying context is important, but also studying history behind a specific verse is also important. Who wrote this? Obviously, Matthew wrote it because it's in the book of Matthew. Who said it? Obviously, Jesus said it. It was in the Sermon of the Mount. And who was it said to? And this is, he said it to his disciples, one of them being Matthew, but also we know there were other people, followers of Christ on the mount, and they all heard it. But why is the most important thing to know here and in every verse. Why was this said? Why was Jesus addressing this? And in this situation, mainly because there was so much superficial religion going on there when we read about all the Pharisees and the corrupt religious leaders. That was hypocrisy. This is the key word that we need to take out of this entire passage, and this is what ties into judgment: hypocrisy. So a lot of these religious leaders and people, they were good on the outside, but their hearts did not align with their religious duties that they were doing. So the heart is what Jesus cares most here. So he cares about the heart, but also he cares about self-righteousness. It's important to know here that Jesus did not forbid righteous judgment. He definitely wants us to expose sin, obviously humbly, with humility, with love, but we are never called to ignore sin just because we're not to judge people. And here it's very important to know that the main reason behind this passage is to expose self righteousness, hypocrisy. Obviously, if I'm not doing something right, who am I to go tell people to do it right? Who am I to go expose people's sin? However, sin is to be exposed because this is how the devil has been using this world to shut us down, to keep our voices so low that the rest of the world cannot hear that this is a sin, and it will lead to eternal judgment. This is the way Satan has been deceiving humanity. This is the reason why the world is dwelling in sin right now. Because A, they don't know it's a sin. B, if we say something, we're turned down because we're judging people. We are not. We want people's salvation. And this should be the motive behind saying anything or exposing sin. Not to show that we're self-righteous, no, but to expose sin to possibly, if the Lord wills, lead to their salvation, if they open their hearts to Jesus, if they turn away from their bad, corrupt ways and sins, that way they might find Jesus. And this is the most important thing. We should love others in that way, not by shutting up, not by not saying anything because we don't want to judge. We will judge. We are the sons and daughters of the King, and we are given the authority to judge sin, not judge others, because we are never better than others, but judge sin. We must judge sin. The only reason we get discernment, the only reason we know this way has Satan and this way has God is by knowing and judging. When it's taken out of context, this verse can lead to exactly what the devil wants it to be. Remember, examine yourself first, then correct others with love and humility, then condemn sin. Examination. Remember, reading with context changes everything. So this week, before sharing anything online, before talking about any verse, read it with context. Try to understand it. Try to understand the reason behind it. And if you have any questions, if you have any verses that you have in mind that may be confusing to you, please drop them down in the comments. Maybe we can make a video about them. I do intend to talk about a lot of verses that have been tripping us, and we together will expose the enemy's lie. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this series helps us.